Tonight, flooding causes roads to be closed, warnings to be issued in the mid-north. And it's not just floods, it's fire too. CFS urging locals to be prepared for bushfire season as Grain Producers SA launch a new campaign.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. There's been some extreme weather in the mid-north over the past week, with multiple flood warnings issued for locals to stay off certain roads. Reporting from the scene in Wandera East is Annabelle Francis.
Over the past 10 days, there has been over 300 millimetres of rainfall in Port Pirie and surrounds. And now we're facing the aftermath of the wild weather, with flooding and road closures across the region. It definitely has not felt like spring in the mid-north, with severe weather warnings throughout the week. And it's not every day you see ducks floating on the road. Wandera has been a site of concern, but the risk of flooding has reduced, with river levels dropping. However, they do remain higher than usual, and you should take care over the next few days. Flooding has also occurred at Burra Gorge and Spring Creek, where the road is completely ruined. The Spencer Highway remains closed at Lower Broughton due to flooding. And Maddie, a reminder to never walk, ride or drive through floodwaters. Locals can stay up to date with the very latest through the SES and Bureau of Meteorology's website and social media pages.
Thanks for that, Annabelle. And it's not just flooding concerning the Spencer Gulf. The fire danger season has officially begun, and now it's a timely reminder for those living in regional areas to get their bushfire safety plans in check. Strong winds and wild weather posing even more of a risk this season, seeing as some areas already have a total fire ban.
Despite many parts of the state impacted by flooding, the CFS is reminding people to be prepared this fire danger season. With summer just on the horizon, those living in high-risk areas are encouraged to put plans into place in case of a bushfire.
Really important that people remember that there is not a fire season, there is not a summer in South Australia where there is not a risk to life and property from bushfire. Each and every year we see those hot and windy conditions.
Grain Producers SA launching the Don't Be a Bright Spark campaign ahead of harvest, warning farmers of fire risk.
Make sure you do the right thing at harvest because we've got significant build-up of fuel load. There's a lot of vegetation around. Look, if it's too hot or windy, you feel the conditions are dangerous, follow the 5 steps in our campaign.
Despite a slower start to the season with this month's rainfall, the CFS is reminding people not to get complacent.
It's really important that if people haven't taken any steps to prepare themselves or their property, that they take this message, they take this warning and they do so now. Because now is the time, if you haven't prepared, to prepare.
This year's harvest is still shaping up to be one of the best on record. Establishing fire breaks around properties a major priority for farmers.
With vegetation build up as well, there'd be a lot of fire breaks that need looking at really closely. So it's recommended to establish a minimum 4 metre fire break around perimeters of crops or paddocks.
The Country Fire Service saying they'll be working alongside farmers this season to ensure a safe harvest.
Look, we work really closely with our agricultural communities to ensure that they can do harvests in a safe way. We know this is one of the biggest harvests on record.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A food sustainability study has just been carried out by the Far West Local Health District. And while there was nothing overly surprising, it does confirm what was suspected as part of healthy eating in the regions.
The study has been done sporadically over the past 10 years, but hasn't been conducted since 2019. And it has shown that food costs have gone up for both the healthy food basket and the more common food basket.
The most surprising thing that we did find was that given that average incomes had gone up over the same period, the affordability stayed the same despite the price rise.
According to the data collected by the Far West Local Health District, in conjunction with the University of Wollongong, healthy eating doesn't have to break the bank.
eating to the Australian dietary guidelines is actually cheaper than eating the way that most common sort of daily shops are for Australians at the moment. So eating healthy is definitely not more expensive.
As for the Health Star rating, the label is not mandatory, meaning it's only on certain packaged food. But Heidi suggests something else.
As dietitians, we would sort of be encouraging people to be having plenty of foods that don't come in packets. So, our whole foods, our vegetables, our fruits, those kinds of things.
It is also never too late to change your eating habits.
And I definitely suggest just starting small, doing one sort of change a week and not trying to overhaul your entire diet. So if you haven't been having the healthiest diet for the last 10 years, don't expect to turn it around in a week.
For more information, head to the Eat for Health website. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Clontarf Academy students at Port Augusta Secondary School have been acknowledged for their achievements during the school year. The program has transformed many students' lives, giving them skills and the confidence for the next stages.
A night following the accumulation of many months of hard work, motivation and dedication. The Port Augusta Clontarf Academy 2022 students recognised for joining the program that has changed their lives. Upcoming Port Augusta West player Terrell McKenzie was awarded the Joint Clontarf Academy Spirit Award for embodying the values of the foundation.
Joining Clontarf, they're just helpful throughout. They got me my licence and my job, and all the partners that alongside, they just help us along the way. It's pretty good.
The Good Bloke Award for helping those in the community went to Callum Marich, who has excelled at his apprenticeships at one of the local butchers. He says Clontarf gave him the motivation and confidence to excel.
Probably helping us through school and that, and helping us not to be afraid.
Port Augusta isn't the only city in the region to benefit by having the Clontarf Academy set up. It's also in Broken Hill, Port Lincoln and Wyalla, changing lives for the better. The students thank their teachers, support staff and family for taking them on camps and sporting carnivals and getting them out of bed to start lessons. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, new data reveals just how many of us are experiencing stress over the cost of living. And meet Gavin Burner, the Spencer Gulf man living with a disability, but it certainly doesn't get in his way. Welcome back. Well, it's no secret the cost of living is continuing to increase, leaving Australians with no choice but to change the way we spend. New research suggests that here in the regions of South Australia, we're feeling the pinch when it comes to forking out for everyday goods.
It's been the year of inflation. Australians are continuing to feel the financial strain, whether it's at the pumps or in the supermarkets. In a survey, Boost Mobile uncovered that 90% of Aussies are under pressure when it comes to their finances.
That everyone's feeling this cost of living combined by interest rate hikes. The inflation is really impacting a lot of people, and we saw it was affecting more than 90% of people.
Everyday essentials becoming a luxury for some, with prices continuing to skyrocket.
Those areas, of most concern are sort of your general everyday usage, whether it be food and groceries, petrol, transport costs, obviously people's mortgages.
Boost Mobile data suggests that 77% of South Australians are reviewing their grocery purchases. A further 16.5% of people living in the regions are kept up at night worried about their financial stresses. However, people can relieve pressure by re-evaluating their monthly spends.
I think where people need to look, they need to consider all those weekly and monthly ongoing costs, and they add up. They're the ones that add up. That's the best way to really save money, is look at the ones that, that you're going to be forking out daily, weekly or monthly.
It's still unclear whether Australia will go into a recession, but as for now, prices don't look like they are coming down anytime soon. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
For many of us, living in regional areas can be challenging. Sometimes even more so if you or someone you know has a disability. In Port Augusta, a major workshop on intellectual disabilities was held for health practitioners, community workers and carers. It was there that the incredible story of a local Spencer Gulf man was heard.
A large crowd representing Port Augusta's health sector gathered to learn about intellectual disabilities and how those who have one are vital members of the community. For Spencer Gulf local Gavin Berner, gaining acceptance in society for having an intellectual disability is a vital step in destigmatisation and education.
I want to belong to the community and support the community, because that's want people that we are everyday people that's like everyone else. And it belong is a very important word of what we are trying to educate people.
Gavin and others spoke of their journeys, breaking any stereotypes about what those with such a disability can't do.
I led myself to get a job, to prove the people wrong, and to prove that I am smart and that I can hold a job and have friends in life.
People will learn that people with intellectual disability can and should be in valued roles in our community. My colleagues who have intellectual disability are some of the most intelligent, incredible, clever people I have ever met, and they enrich my lives.
Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. After the break, $250,000 worth of damage to a caravan and home in Ceduna. And Port Pirie 10-pin bowlers cross the Bass Strait and back, returning with gold medals. Welcome back. An estimated $250,000 worth of damage has been recorded at a home in Ceduna after a vicious fire tore through the structure and the adjoining caravan. 6 fire crews were called to the scene along Coot Place around 3:10 yesterday afternoon. Emergency services say nobody was inside the home at the time of the fire and that the attending fireys acted fast, ensuring the blaze didn't spread to neighbouring properties. Specialised fire cause investigators have spent today at the scene trying to determine the cause of the fire. Anyone who saw or heard anything that may assist the investigation can contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. Port Pirie is home to 8 athletes who recently represented their country in 10-pin bowling at the Special Olympics in Tasmania. And they returned with more than just fond memories.
Officials described Team SA as the best-mannered and noisiest team at the Games. In the lead-up, the athletes trained at Bowland in Port Pirie, and all their hard work certainly paid off at the Games, with all athletes returning with at least one medal or ribbon. But there was an absolute standout athlete, claiming an impressive 3 gold medals.
As usual, my athletes have done us proud, and I don't think it could have happened with the support that we get from the Pirie community too.
For many of the athletes, it was their first time travelling outside of South Australia, so they were extremely excited and grateful to those who helped make it possible.
And I wouldn't be here without my parents. They helped me so much, and yeah, I want to say thank you to my teammates, coaches.
Through their travels, the athletes were able to socialise and make new friendships.
It's unbelievable where you can meet all the state bowlers from all other states to mix with them, enjoy the fun and activities.
The next challenge for the athletes is the selection process for the World Games in Berlin, Germany next April. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Good weather is forecast this weekend, which means cricket will go ahead in Broken Hill. While the men's A-grade competition has been washed out for the first 2 rounds, the women have been able to get at least 1 game in. But overall, it's been a bit frustrating for everyone who's been waiting to put the pads on this season.
It's like we're living in a place that always rains at the moment, but hopefully we get a few runs into Christmas, and then after Christmas it stops raining so much.
This weekend we'll see a grand final rematch as West take on Central. West were too good last season, beating the Central side by 7 wickets and winning the final for the 3rd year in a row. North will be taking on South in the other game. North will fancy their chances this week as they defeated West in the opening round of the season. And more cricket is on after the break. Speaking of, stay with us. After the break, two Spencer Golf cricket clubs mark major milestones, 75 and 100th anniversaries. And we'll have the weekend weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. It's not just cricket being celebrated this weekend, but also the longevity of two clubs out of the Eyre Peninsula. The clubs marking significant milestones in their respective histories.
Welcome to this week's Port Lincoln Cricket Tips. A huge weekend of cricket here in Port Lincoln as Charlton Cricket Club celebrate their 100th year and Waybacks celebrate their 75th year. It was postponed last year due to COVID, but they're taking on each other A and B grade out at Rovendale this week. I think Charlton are going to get over the line in this one and what should be a really good game of cricket. And in the other game, Tasman's travel out to Wangari. It's always tough to travel out to Wangari and play against the Southern Eyre side. I think Southern Eyre might just be a little bit too strong on their home deck. Thanks for listening to the Port Lincoln Cricket Tips.
Yeah, g'day and welcome to the round 4 of the Northern Super League, matches between Port Augusta and Whyalla teams. The first game on Saturday sees South Augusta take on Rapina in Port Augusta at its Oval. This should be a very good match, but I'm going to lean towards South Augusta to beat Rapina. The second game sees Central Whyalla take on West Augusta at Memorial at 12:30. This match will be played in Port Pirie, and for that reason I'm going to go for Central Whyalla to beat West Augusta. The third game on Saturday is a day-night match, begins at 4:30 at Bennett Oval. It's North Whyalla taking on Quorn. Quorn, a very good side, but travelling over to Whyalla, I think North Whyalla are going to beat Quorn. So there are my winners on the weekend: North Whyalla, Central Whyalla and South Augusta.
Fine weather should see A-grade cricket commence in Broken Hill this weekend after 2 weekends of washouts. The game on Saturday, North versus South, should be an interesting game. I think North at this stage probably look a little bit strong for South, but don't be surprised if there could be an upset in this game. In the game on Sunday, Central take on West. I think on this occasion, I think Centrals might turn the tables on West and just prove a little bit too strong.
Hello and welcome to round 4 of Port Pirie Cricket. This round we've got Props taking on Southport on Pirie West. Both teams have had decent starts of the season, with Props being undefeated. I'm going to tip Props to get over the top of Southport. Over at Port Oval, we got Port Germain taking on Wandera. Both teams with just the 1 win for the season, and they both be keen to get the win in this one. I'm going to tip Port Germain.
Hopefully those games aren't washed out. But now is a perfect time to look at the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, welcome back. How's the weekend looking?
It's looking great, Maddie, nice and warm. At this stage, there's no reason any of the cricket will be cancelled due to wet weather. Temperatures will creep into the high 30s. I'll have more on that in just a moment. But let's take a look at some of today's temperatures now. 26 degrees in Woodnor today. Kadina reached 21 degrees around 4 p.m. 18 was the top in Coffin Bay. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, 23 in Cummins, mostly sunny conditions. Cooper Pedy reached 26, 18 degrees in Port Lincoln and Adelaide. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a high pressure system over Victoria will continue to move to the east to be over the Tasman Sea by Saturday. Over the weekend, winds will tend northerly. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, turning northeasterly before dawn. Seas around 1 metre and south to southwesterly swell around 1 metre, increasing up to 2 metres. Mostly sunny conditions in Port Lincoln tomorrow, between 11 and 25 degrees there. Warmer in Cleve, 27 degrees. Woodnor heading for a top of 30 degrees with mostly sunny conditions. Partly cloudy and 27 degrees in Whyalla. Port Augusta heading for a top of 28, mostly sunny, and 26 degrees in Kadina. Mostly sunny in Port Pirie as well, 27 degrees, getting down to 13 19 degrees tonight, partly cloudy and 23 around Clare tomorrow, and Broken Hill will be mostly sunny, 24 degrees with some light winds around. Taking a look further through the week now, starting with Sunday's outlook, 34 degrees up north in Cooper Pedy. Woodner will be the next warmest, 32 degrees on Sunday and mostly sunny conditions. 31 in Port Augusta, 30 in Port Pirie, sunny top of 29 in Whyalla, 27 in Broken Hill. Moving on to Monday's forecast now, blue skies across most of the Gulf for the start of the working week. Sunny and 34 in Port Augusta, Port Pirie sunny and 32, 31 in Whyalla, 27 in Port Lincoln, Cooper Pedy and Woodner tied on 36 degrees. And finally, taking our first look at Tuesday's weather, and it's looking like a very warm one, muggy in some areas too. 37 in Cooper Pedy, partly cloudy, 33 in Whyalla and Port Pirie, 31 in Kadina and Adelaide, possible showers, and 36 in Woodner. Possible showers in Port Lincoln as well, 29 degrees, the only centre not in the 30s. And just quickly, Maddie, a reminder for those in flood-affected areas of the mid-north to never drive through floodwaters. You can stay up to date with the very latest advice from authorities by heading to the State Emergency Service website. That's all from me for tonight. Have a great weekend. It's back to you, Maddie.
Thanks for that, Alex. Have a great weekend. And that's the local news this Friday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.